Speedrunning, a sport that is typically seen as trying to complete a gaming-related goal as quickly as possible. Yes, a sport. Feel free to be one of those commenters who waste their time ranting to me about what a sport is and how kids these days are lazy or whatever, but anyways, of course many people immediately drool over goals such as completing Super Mario Bros. In under 5 minutes. But what about goals that require longer completion times? Today, I have once again scrolled through the depths of speedrun.com and have pieced together even longer speedruns, with some being even longer than the last. So let me present to you the longest speedruns ever, part 2. It's been so long since part 1 that I look like this now, but I still need to set up some type of guidelines for the runs at hand today. What is a long speedrun? 1 hour? 10 hours? 100 hours? You tell me. Since I've already done this before, I'll be setting the bar a bit higher this time. Today, I have 6 runs that are pretty hefty, being in the 1 to 3 day time range, but still not that crazy. And then, I have another 5 that increase higher and higher to the point of being hundreds and hundreds of hours, which really starts to make you question, someone actually did this? And yes, these may not be the longest runs of all time, but simply just the most interesting. If you have something cool that you think I missed, please let me know. But let's get into it. First off, there's Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain. This is the 9th Metal Gear installment released in 2015 on every modern system that starts with a P or an X. With the entire Metal Gear series having a committed speedrun community, you best bet they'll try and optimize anything they can. With any percent and other mission categories already existing, in 2016, the idea of a 100% speedrun started to prop up thanks to a player by the name Velissa. Her main concern for routing out this ambitious run revolved online mode in the game. After some discussion, it was agreed that if this run were to be done, it would have to be played in offline mode due to multiple things being carried over from previous saves. This means the elimination of challenge tasks that are tracked online. And with that, in 2018, Velissa finally was able to go through and fully complete this, finishing a nearly 50-hour run, with a player appropriately named Thanks Kojima beating this more recently in 37 hours, which is where we are going to start the times at for today. And before I continue, yes, I did intentionally say V instead of 5. Why would I pass up an opportunity in baiting people who comment before watching the whole video? I love doing that. Second on the list is Crusdader Kings II, or II if we want to keep upsetting people. This is a medieval strategy game released in 2012 where you control a dynasty from the 11th to 14th centuries. There's no way to beat this, with the objective being to obtain different types of points to get past different historical events in the game. With there being over 20 goals to choose from on speedrun.com, Solo World Conquest is currently the heftiest by far, and requires you to conquer and hold every single province start point in the game. DarthRees at the moment is the only person to submit a time for this, clocking in at 113 hours. Except that's not fully accurate. That is based on in-game time, and in the run comments the runner states a real playtime of around 40.5 hours, with 25 hours give or take of that being actual gameplay. There's not too much more I can personally say about this game, as I have zero medieval or crusading experience, but I do have some general life experience, which takes us into Fantasy Life, a life simulation meets RPG on the 3DS. In this title, you choose from 12 different jobs such as a cook, magician, or old man with a mustache and sword. What else is there to choose from in life? Anyways, these are labeled as life classes. Throughout the game, you are assigned tasks that you can do to rank up your life class, with you being able to do this with other activities such as buying a new house. In this economy? Yeah, good one. Anyways, doing these activities, you can rank up to Master and then Legend. With the introduction of the Origin Island DLC, you can also now rank up to Creator or God depending on your region. While there are speedrun categories for individual life classes, there are also categories that require you to reach these previously mentioned ranks for every single life available in the game. With Creator being the greatest rank of all these, the fastest run is just under 40 hours, using an already existing save file to assist. But if we are talking about a new save file, we are looking at a 43-hour record by mapleceej, with times going upwards of 200 hours towards the bottom of the board. If all it takes is 40 hours to become a creator/god, then why haven't I received that title for making these silly videos yet? Do I even need to describe what Mario Party is? It's the one go-to party video game series that everyone either wins, breaks friendships over, or if it's Mario Party 10, you instead ask, what the hell is this? Today we are talking about just Mario Party 4, the very first non-N64 title, this time on the GameCube. Many may just simply dive into casually playing the story mode, with these runs being in the 4 to 5 hour range, but Mario Party 4 contains the Present Room. This contains a plethora of unlockable presents, which appropriately ties into the general birthday theme within the game. These presents can mostly be unlocked through the game's story mode, but some require clearing specific minigame goals. An old GameFAQs guide from the 2000s I found estimated this would take upwards of 40 plus hours, and they were right. The funnily named GarageDoorOpener was the very first to complete this, doing it in 50 hours, with TheKingOfFlub a year later knocking this down even further to 45 hours. I never get sick of seeing these amusing speedrunner names, and I bet someday I'll be talking about a runner named Can of Corn. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, one of many spin-off series from the franchise that is running out of colors to use in their main titles. In these games, you play as a human-turned Pokemon where you explore dungeons and fight other Pokemon. Today, we are specifically talking about Explorers of Time/Darkness on the DS, and I want to talk about the categories labeled as Recruit Them All. This requires collecting all 490 Pokemon within the game, and for those that have alternate forms, you need to collect all of those too. For example, all 28 unknown letters. The category has two different runs, Unlimited Wonder Mail and Minimum Wonder Mail. What is Wonder Mail? Well, it refers to a feature where you can enter codes to access items and missions. So what's up with Minimum Wonder Mail? Well, before you scream in the comments that entering codes is cheating and shouldn't be used, it's impossible to complete this without Wonder Mail. So this category allows you only 9 specific codes to make this run possible. Even the unlimited option doesn't allow you to just simply use it as you desire. You can't use it to automatically recruit Pokemon, with the goal of this run to not be primarily focused around typing up codes. 2 people have ran the unlimited variant, with the record being 28 hours by MozzarellaCheez, but things get even more intense over on the minimum side, with Crrool being the only runner so far to complete this in 62 hours. With runs getting really long now, the rules for this run are nice enough to allow a timer pause up to 6 times during the run. Each pause cannot be longer than 12 hours. Fortunately, with these runs getting crazier and crazier, this won't be the last on the list to have similar types of rules so people don't die of sleep deprivation or whatever hallucinations are possible after playing for 50 hours. You know what's better than talking about one Pokemon spin-off? Talking about 2 Pokemon spin-offs. Next up in the list is yet another DS installment, Pokemon Conquest. Here you are joined by an Eevee, where you come across Pokemon, Battle Warriors, and Warlords as you navigate the Ransei region. For a Pokemon title of this caliber, the main 80% completion category is pretty reasonable, with it being able to be cleared in under 2 hours. But of course, there's a higher step up here. There is All Legends, which has a 29-hour record, but this game also houses a run that is more than twice as long. 100% entails registering all 200 Pokemon in all 200 warriors. You must also rank and link up the Warlords and Warriors to the maximum capacity, and last of all, complete all the stories within game. Clocking in at 72 hours, the 218th speedrunner to ever exist has been the first and currently only person to do this. In the comments of his run, he exclaimed, "This is probably the longest single game speedrun in Pokemon history." Maybe he just mistyped 2018. Yet another game that I feel needs very little introduction. Super Smash Bros. Brawl is the 3rd game in the popular Nintendo fighting series, Super Smash Bros., this time on the Wii. With this being the best Smash game to exist, Fight Me, most people may immediately think of the Subspace Emissary mode, which over the years has become a pretty popular speedrun for the game, but of course, this game is big enough that there's a solid chunk of goals to skip through. Here though, we need to glance at all challenges, which tackles the 128 total challenges that can be cleared in this game. You'll see that the main Hammers category has 3 runners, with the record only being 31 hours. So why am I talking about this? Well, you want to know how much Hammers help this run? Quite a lot. So much so that Filthy Scrub has the record here, clocking in at just over 78 hours. A year earlier, the same runner ran the Hammers version in 33 hours, meaning this no hammer challenge resulted in a 45-hour difference for this runner. Switching over to a completely opposite game from the last, Shadowverse sticks out quite a bit from the rest of this list, being a virtual card-based game. With this being far from my general gaming territory, all I can say is that this looks like an anime version of Hearthstone. I don't know, looks like something a weeb might get a little too much into. Enough of my rambling, more about the game. There's multiple runners spread across tons of categories, but there's one tucked away under the miscellaneous tab, beginner to master. You simply start from a fresh account, with the goal to reach Master's rank. Except it isn't that simple, because crisome took 78 hours and 18 minutes to do exactly this. In the run's notes, crisome shares this run also had the challenge of not opening any packs other than ones that were initially given. Since I quite honestly don't properly know anything about this game, I don't necessarily know how much harder this makes things, but no matter what, that sounds quite impressive. Shadow the Hedgehog, a game that is indeed a game. The Sonic game that tried to be more mature. Did it do a good job at that? Well, it did some type of job. Good is debatable depending on who you ask. This is the first run of the entire list that isn't officially on a site like speedrun.com. And why is that? Well, cause it's quite insane. A person by the name BlazinZzetti did a segmented run over the course of 53 days, embarking on a 100% completion of this game, with the actual gameplay time ending in 181 hours, 14 minutes, and 47 seconds. So what does this run actually entail? Well, you better be sitting down. There's quite a lot here. 71 A ranks, 115 secret games across 23 levels, 6 fully upgraded super weapons which are done by completing the 10 main endings, and the last story. Oh, you thought that's it? That's silly. You also have to complete all 326 library entries that show cutscenes for the path you completed from beginning to end, which means you must also complete this game 326 different times. What's even crazier is that you may think that this was a half-casual completion of this ambitious goal, but this person was already a speedrunner of the game and used a decent handful of tricks to make this really long run a bit faster. Most notably used was the Chaos Control glitch, allowing you to travel at a high speed through levels. This glitch causes the entire game to be really unstable, with Zzetti claiming upwards of 100 game crashes during this entire journey. Unfortunately, the full video for this run was not archived properly, but there are a ton of highlights that were made throughout, including the very end of the run. With over 300 playthroughs of this game just to achieve this, you may not be really missing out on seeing this run in its entirety. So, last video, you may remember that the final run featured was 528 hours long, but this time, the last 2 entries on this list are well above that rank. The first of the 2 is an Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS. You know, Animal Crossing, the hit Nintendo simulation game where you share a town with anthropomorphic animals for some reason. This is yet another run that isn't officially on any leaderboard, and peeping around, it did have a place on speedrun.com at some point, but was deleted due to a lack of competition. So what kind of run could even end up in this situation? Yet another 100% run, of course. This time put together by a runner by the name Coldeggman. With any Animal Crossing title being such a huge game to explore, you best bet there's a hefty list of requirements. Strap in once again for this. A full encyclopedia, all golden tools, gold house parts, all Nookling upgrades, all Main Street shops unlocked, all menu unlocks, all public works projects, all gold badges, all town unlockables, max town tree, and a full catalog, excluding DLC content. Done over the course of 27 days, this took 638 hours, 27 minutes, and 29 seconds. This runner basically woke up, played this game, ate a couple times during the day, went back to sleep, and repeat, for a month straight. One interesting tidbit here is, no matter what, this run would take at least 500 hours thanks to a specific badge that is awarded when you reach this playtime, with this runner saying that they'd only want to play this again if they could complete the rest of the game before this goal. But that would take 100 hours of time saved to do, so that's like trying to turn a dog into a cat. I don't think that's gonna happen. The last, but very not least in regards to playtime, is old school RuneScape. Another game I'm not sure how to fully describe besides the fact that it's RuneScape. You've heard of this game before, even if it was just once from a friend mocking it as this random nerd game. Like the game or not, one of the main goals people seemingly work on is increasing their levels and different available skills, such as fishing or woodwork. Instead of like the game earlier in this video having different words for ranks, the skills here go up to level 99. With there being 29 total skills, that's quite a lot of time to spend just from a leveling up standpoint. In fact, if you got enough time to waste maxing the level of all 29 skills, you can purchase an item called Max Cape, which can only be purchased doing this. In 2023, two different people were crazy enough to both try this, with heboxjonge and JcwRS taking 771 and 791 hours respectively. That is over a month's worth total of playing, around the 32 to 33 day range. This is when that commenter from the very beginning will come back to once again scold someone for wasting their time playing a game for so long. But seriously, over 700 hours put into one specific goal in one game, supported or not, that is a lot of dedication. And based on the fact that while making this, no one else has submitted a time here, this is something that very few people could seriously commit to. So there you go once again. While setting so much time aside for a goal in a game may seem unreasonable for some, for others, this is simply what they love to do in their own free time. And while most would never want to do a speedrun this intense, I think the least we can do is be impressed and applaud anyone that can put up with any grind for this long. As long as you're doing it in a healthy manner, who cares if your goal takes 10 minutes, 10 hours, or 10 days. As time goes on, people are bound to do crazier and crazier things, and there very much is likely an even longer speedrun out there that I didn't even cover today. Do you have one? Let me know in the comments, but until next time, thanks for watching.